The one example I would like to give is in this book, that we are all taught that the great image of Nebuchadnezzar represents 5 empires, and that the feet and the toes made of iron and clay represents the last days empire. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know is that the great image of Nebuchadnezzar actually represents 6 empires, which 5 have gone, but 1 is still around. Because when we go into the book of Revelation, we see it talks of 7 mountains and an 8th, which is, but is not, but will soon be. The mountains represents empires. That's what it represents. And I will tell you one thing. The United States is the 7th empire. But before the return of Christ, there's going to be an 8th. But it will only last for 1 hour. But what is 1 hour in spiritual terms? Is it 7 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 30 years or is it 40? I know one thing, it's not no 70. Okay. But I've heard many tell me that by their calculations, a 1 hour period of spiritual 1 hour would be approximately 30 years if you take what is in the Bible. Don't ask me how they came up with that, but we can look at it as being maybe a 30-year period. With what I have in the book, sealed till the time of the end, it could possibly be exactly that, within that 30 years. But I'm not going to dispute that fact. But we have to understand that the head of gold, and you tell me this makes too much sense. This is what throws biblical scholars and theologians off, because they don't stop to think the way that I'm thinking here, because only this could be revealed by the Holy Spirit, because who would ever have thought it? I've never heard anybody say it before until I wrote the book. But even atheists have said very thought-provoking. But take this for example, the head of gold on the great image of Nebuchadnezzar. We're going to go with that. The head of gold represented the Babylonian Empire. Okay? And that's where it starts. The 7th and the 8th empires is not the Egyptians or the Assyrians. The time of biblical history and the empires began during the Babylonian Empire. The arms and chest of silver are the Medes, Persians. That empire. The stomach and the hips of brass, that's the Greco, Alexander the Great. The 2 legs of iron, by history we know these empires did exist, but the 2 legs of iron is the Roman Empire. The 2 feet, iron and clay, is not the last days empire, but in fact was the Ottoman Turks. The 10 toes of iron and clay is not the last days empire, but in fact was an empire which covered 10 different locations in the globe. And that was the British Empire. Believe me, this came with a lot of prayer, because I couldn't understand. Over here with the great image of Nebuchadnezzar, and then it shows 8 mountains in the book of Revelation. But in the book of Revelations, it goes from the 7th mountain, goes over into the 7th, or it goes from the 5th mountain, goes to the 7th mountain. And I'm wondering, Lord, where is number 6? That's what made me start praying about it real hard. And the Holy Spirit revealed it to me. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in the last days. We are living in the last days. But then the stone that came down and crushed the feet and toes of the great image became a mountain and covered the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Revolution was that stone. And the American nation, the United States, has become an empire, which is now considered Babylon the Great. Because the mountain, Babylon the Great, would become an empire that would cover every island on the earth. Tell me where the American empire, the American presence, is not on every island of the world. The 8th empire, the beast. But if you want to know more about that, get this book sealed till the time of the end. That's the only thing that I'm going to give you that's in this book, because if I gave it out, nobody would buy the book. And this is how I support my ministry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't ask for donations from anybody. I don't ask anybody to send me any money. I don't want no money, but I would like for you to buy this book. This is how it supports this ministry. I wish I was capable of giving these books out for free, because I really believe that the warning needs to get out. But I'm telling you, there's much more in this book than what a person might think, especially as thin as it is. Makes too much sense. So if the theologians and the biblical scholars of today were to go along with what was in this book, guess what? That means that they'd have to revamp their way of thinking. And it tears them up to know that somebody that doesn't have a degree in theology or seminary has written a book such as this book. I've been told this. I've been told that. I've been told, how can you write a book like that and you don't even have a degree in theology or seminary? 1 Corinthians, it tells me God has given me that wisdom. God has given me that knowledge. I'm not trying to thump myself on the chest, ladies and gentlemen. But what I'm trying to get at is this. If you're a follower of Christ, if you are a true follower of Christ, then you would get out there. You would tell your family. You would tell your friends, get this book and read it. But more so, get this book and put it with it. I'm telling you, you need to read this Bible. You need to read the Bible. It's very important. Because if you don't read the Bible, then you're not going to understand this book at all. Even though I have the book of Revelation, it is printed into this book. And then the explanation is given, chapter to chapter. But ladies and gentlemen, I thought this week this would give me the opportunity to go over what I'm going over right now. Because I want you to understand, God has appointed me to do something. And I'm going to do it. And being a prophet of God is a very lonely thing to do. Especially when you consider a lot of brothers and sisters in the church that you would think that they would accept what you have to say. But you know, the Lord said, if they do it to me, they'll do it to you. Has that ever been proven to me?